Many extensions actually come with dedicated pages that you can ship, that are shipped with the extension and that provide additional functionality, like for example defining block lists for your ad blocker, things like that. Many things could be done there. And how to create such a new page, how to open this page, how to determine the URL of that page, this is what we're talking about in this pretty short tutorial this week. So let's implement this. We have this very basic setup here. So I have already created a div here that has a grid layout, and there's this green box down here below. So this is always at the bottom. This whole bar sits at the bottom, and this green interface, green element, we'd like to make clickable, and then using the onClick event to open a dedicated page that we are shipping with our extension. So I've already prepared a little bit, as you can see. So very base, still the service worker is very basic. We are just injecting our CSS file for the foreground. We are injecting our foreground JS file, and this foreground JS, this content script, basically is console logging. We don't need this anymore. We have this main container, which gets simply an ID and is then appended to the document body. The bottom bar actually is appended, is also a div element, also gets an ID, is appended to that main container. And then we have the detail link, which is the green one. It's the one down here. This also is just appended to this container. And then we have bit CSS. The CSS could be a lot more minimal, I guess. Don't worry, you can download the code from the link in the description. And yeah, so we just need to make sure that the people know that this thing can be clicked. So maybe you can just say cursor, make it a pointer so that this is more clear. So if I now reload the extension, then you can see, as you can see, the cursor is now a pointer, so this indicates this thing is clickable. Okay, so I've already also created a folder. So this folder, as you can see, we have the folder My Pages here, and there is the very basic HTML page, and there's just one h1 tag, hello from new page. So this is the page we want to open. The question is, or the problem is, how can we open this particular page, as this is not a website? So it's not something you can easily hyperlink to, as it is being shipped with your extension. So how are you going to do that? So let's start on the content script side first. The key thing is you, let's say, implement a function, in this case async function, open detail page, maybe that's a good name. And here you would simply just use Chrome runtime dot send message. You are sending a message to the service worker because the service worker will open this new tab. Okay, so he will just say, okay, message open detail page. Yeah, could be more descriptive maybe. If you have more than one element, then of course you should be naming them in a logical, useful way. Yeah, and the way you can actually attach this to this element is simply by stating detail element on click is then open detail page, and that's it. Okay, so this is the way this would now be called. We could try this. I have to reload this thing, and now as you can see, if I click on this, it would actually work, but yeah, there's an error because the established couldn't be established. Receiving end does not exist. This is in depth covered in episode 2 of this series, where I in depth talked about messaging. So in here we'll just need to implement the on message listener, and this then of course has a request, sender, and a sender response. and he will just use if request.message equals open detail page. So this is the message that indicates that we want to open this detail page. It is not something you have to do this way, but I would recommend, because let's say if you implement bigger functionality, you would have more messages you are sending from a content script to the background, to the service worker. And so the list of if, else, and such things is increasing quickly. And if you put all the code in here, then the code is pretty much unmaintainable pretty soon. So just outsource that code. You will simply do await. You have to actually add async here to make this work. Await open page, and then use send response, good message, send a message. So, and this means that we now need an async function, open detail page. We could of course even pass the request as an argument. So maybe if you want to add some data, maybe the user has put into some form, or if you want to transport some URL or some object, you could do so. That's no problem. So we could now here just simply use or need to do two things. The first thing is here that we are using the Chrome dot runtime dot let's say define an object at my URL runtime, and then you need to actually call get runtime dot get URL, and here you can specify the root of your extension, then your folder if any, and the file name, so in this case page.html, right? The next thing I can do is use chrome.tabs, because we want to open a new tab, tabs.create, and this thing expects an object, and one parameter, or the most important one, is the URL, and there of course we are using my URL. So this actually is the key thing here. So we're using our content script to have some visible element on the page, on the content of the page. Then we attach an on-click event to this. This on-click function actually sends a message to the background with this message here. Here we'll just call another function, the open detail page function, and we are now getting the URL, which is shipped, the URL of the page which we are shipping with the extension, and just use the Chrome tabs element to create this new tab. So this actually should work out of the box. There's some error, don't know why. Let's open this log here as well. Open this. Ta-da! And now we should be able to see this new page. So as you can see, the get URL actually brought us this this URL here. So we have Chrome extension, and then everything until this /my pages. Everything before that is actually now dynamically created using the Chrome runtime get URL method, and this way you can open your new page. Maybe one important thing to notice is, of course, in the foreground, as the foreground is manipulating, as the foreground here is is adding functionality to this particular page, we need to inject our style sheets here. As you can see, so we have this injected style sheet, which adds this element and also styles this element. Of course, when you are shipping a normal page, you could just simply create normal HTML here. You could have, of course, also add CSS files here, and in the standard way reference those CSS files. You could, in the standard way, also use JS libraries that you are shipping with your code. But that's actually something for another video. So updating the tab. Of course, we also need some element here. So I will get, let's say, just give it an ID. It's not really, the most practical use case. Maybe I call this just my h1. And what you maybe just give it a base structure. Of course, you could also integrate like a title here. My extension detail page. I'll do this pretty quickly. So we'll have the body here. And of course, this needs to be in the head. So head. Okay. So let's say this should basically work. The key thing now is that we need to attach also a script file to this. So I'll create a script file. I'll name it, sorry for the caps, page.js. And I now need to actually integrate the script file in here as well. So I'll do it like this, page.js. And in this page.js file, I basically need to also attach the on-click to an on-click event actually to a page element. The only one I have here is this this one with the ID. So I will now just create a document. Let my link objects document dot get element by ID. In this case, it's my h1. Was it? Okay, it's this way. And then I'll say my link object dot onClick is navigate to page 2. Okay, so here I need a function, async function, navigate to page 2, which then again will just send a chrome.runtime.send message. Message is detail page navi to page 2. So I'll make these names very long so that you can indicate by the name what actually is being done here. And so we are sending, so we are retrieving this element here and are actually when clicking on it are sending a background message, a message to the background that we want to navigate to page 2. Let me just move this over. So this way, let's say we can actually try this. If we reload this page, let's say inspect, so there you can see the DJS file is referenced here. HTML is updated, so that actually should work. If we now go to, we can also, just to show you this, console log hi from page.js, so that you can actually see that this works. The console hi from page.js, right? So this is how this works. And now we should have a look at the background file. So of course we also now need to support a second message. So we can, in this case, simply implement an if-else switch. So if request.message equals, what was it again? Navigate. Yeah, so take this one, put it down here. Then we should simply call navigate to page 2. And there we could also, just pass maybe the request, and also could then do a send response, which in this case could be also a message. Done that as well. Although it doesn't really make sense if you are, navigating the tab, because the navigation will happen before this message will actually being passed back. So, or at least you are running into a race condition here, or a possible race condition. So the function then is create an async function, navigate to page 2. There is maybe some data that I could use for any reason. And now the key thing actually is pretty much the same. You're also defining a new URL that you want to go to. And maybe let's say we have a new file, page2.html. We'll just use this page2. And here we just also need to determine the URL. So Chrome runtime and then get URL to this specific page. Of course, this also sits in this folder My Pages. And so I need to integrate the path to the file there as well. So page2.html, that should do the trick. And now, of course, we don't want to create a new tab. We actually just want to update the tab. And there again, we have a URL which we need to specify, which in this case also will be our object, our variable my URL. And then this actually should be done. So let's try this. We'll reload the extension. We'll open the service worker console so that we can actually check what's happening. Reloading this, opening the new page. By clicking on the new page, we have been navigated to page 2. So as you can see, navigated to page 2. That was pretty quick, pretty easy as well. So in this video, I've shown how to actually open a dedicated tab from your extension with code that you are shipping with your extension, how to actually navigate within those tabs, how to do things like that. And I hope you found this useful. Check also the other videos from the series. I'll try to cover a whole bunch of topics regarding Chrome extensions. Please bear in mind, I'm not a professional developer. I'm just sharing what I've learned the hard way and self-teaching this stuff over the past year. And so maybe I can help you to improve your development process. Thank you for your interest.